Hey folks, I wanted to give you a quick rundown of how Plato was created. So, before we even get into what I'm showing on the screen, we had lots of conversations with different educators, different folks. Over the last 3 or so years, I've been talking to everybody I can to figure out what we can do. This was in a project called AI for Every Student, which was through No AI. If you're interested, it's noai.philosophers.group. You can find out more information. But I did a lot of different things, and you can see all the different things that I did over the last 3 years here at AI for Every Student. And then through that, we built out a system of talking to different people, and that eventually became like a brain trust. So we have a brain trust that is a bunch of educators, technologists, all sorts of people. We met once a week for a long time to kind of just concept various ideas. And after many, many weeks of meeting and trying to figure out if we want to do a automated learning creator or something else, we ended up building a what's called PRD. And so this is really the most important part of everything that we did was we built this PRD, and what it is project requirement documents. This is basically saying everything that we want our new application to do. And this was built out through lots of different conversations. I took all the information from the conversations and I gave them to ChatGPT. Here is the conversation that we talked about. And I basically said, ChatGPT, create this PRD. Here's some of the user experience pieces I want. Here's some of the architecture I want. Here's some of the agents we want. And we did this with a big team of people contributing their knowledge. So next one will show more. So in the last video, we got to a PRD. Again, we had conversations with lots of smart people to figure out what we wanted, and that was coupled with a lot of work in the field over many years, 3 years to be precise. And so we pulled together this PRD, and it basically said, here's what we want. It took all of the different interests, and we said, here's what we want. ChatGPT gave us something, looked pretty good. I added a few comments. We went back and forth a little bit on what this PRD should be, and then I had a document. This document was then showed back to our brain trust of real humans, and they provided comments on it. So saying different things like, I don't think students will learn this way, or here's a few ones right here. I think we're going to want cost tracking. All these comments were added by the people in our brain trust. And once we had this PRD, this requirement document, correct, then was the easy job. Then we brought it into the magical Claude Code. And Claude Code, for those who don't know, is just an AI tool that you can use. So you use something called Terminal to type Claude. And let's see, let's get into a file here, CD repos, and then click Claude. And you can just have a conversation with Claude about what is done. So I started to have conversations with Claude, and initially it was just copying all of this into Claude, pasting it, and letting it go. It built out something, it wasn't quite right, so I had a few more conversations, and eventually it got to a place where I thought was pretty good. Um, and then what I did with that is I started to test it out. So we'll talk about testing in the next video. So now we have gone through a process of trying out lots of ideas, of assembling a team, of having that team build a PRD, and then we put the PRD into Claude and it built something. Now we have something. And so the first something we had was a little Chrome extension that was able to go through different lessons and try out things. We tested this a lot. We went through several weeks of testing, iterating, building, testing, iterating, building this. And what we kept finding was it was really good, but it's kind of confusing of why is it a Chrome extension. So this probably went through something like 40 different iterations before we realized this wasn't good enough. And so that's a big thing that you realize in this process is just iterating, iterating, iterating. You can never get stuck on one idea. Please do not. These processes are too easy to build to get stuck. So we went back to the complete drawing board and then we rebuilt something from scratch. So we redid the PRD. Instead of it being a Chrome extension, it was going to be a platform. And that's when we started to build our system that you see today. So I ended up retooling pretty much all of the PRD. So it was a platform, an online platform that people could work on. And we went ahead and updated it. The cool thing about the platform is it's something that a lot of the other people could use. I quickly realized that we shouldn't just build this for AI leaders, that this should be for anybody who wants to create any kind of agentic learning platform. The reason why we had that was it was as a good kind of separation of concerns that we would have to build something that was general enough for anybody to use and also capable of supporting the specific things. So at the end, Plato was built through this entire process. Hope you learned something. Thanks.